Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. My name is Frankie Timmers, and we welcome you whether you're in person or online. Today, daylight savings started, so it's kind of interesting, the movements that are happening around us. And we continue this month with the theme of, that's how we've never done it. Some of you may have said that before. And it's within the year of the theme, A Grand Rising. So a Grand Rising, everyone. And we explored the topic today of ready for a new day. And it's just little me, and I'm so excited to be here with everyone. So what I'm exploring is a movement from last week when we talked about being made new, and how we explored this idea that there's always room for a new way of being, a new way of seeing things. And so today I'm going to explore a little bit this idea of how can we make that easy with the spiritual practice of spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So if you'd like to know more about us, because you're new here for the first time, if you're new here for the first time, you get to have a free book. Just grab it off the bookshelf. And if you're new online with us, we're glad you're here. Check out our website, cslmorristown.org. And I want you to know that we have yoga online tonight at 7 p.m. our time. And in 2 weeks, it happens again. It's every 2 weeks. So we do it again on the 24th of March. And on the 24th of March, we have sound baths with Kat Roman. So please register for that because we have a limited amount of space in this room. And those of you that want to purchase the Science of Mind magazine, I want you to know that it is not yet in our hot little hands, but an email has been sent out with the daily guides, and if anybody wants that, I'm happy to let you know or send them to you. And we have them here as well, so we can let you know how to reach out to those. And we are just thrilled that we get to be together. So we begin this morning with our Namaste practice, which is the word, Sanskrit word for the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So let's put our hands together and bow to one another by saying Namaste. 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 And let's go into an opening treatment, our word for affirmative prayer or scientific prayer. So right here, right now, I open my mind, my heart, my body, my soul to this new experience that's available to me. It is new because this is a new moment. It is new because I choose to see this moment in a new way, from a higher vibration, from a higher state of consciousness. Because in the oneness of all life, what is central to the oneness of all life is the presence and the power of divine grace, of this creative intelligence that makes itself known through everything, everywhere, all the time, and of course through everyone. So we open ourselves to that experience and allow ourselves to see some things in a new way, whether it's our past, our conditioning, our outer experiences, the news, or simply some news that maybe we have received that surprised us. And so that new way of seeing is just a way to grow, to learn, to evolve, to express in a deeper, richer, more powerful way. And that in itself blesses us in ways we could never even imagine. So with awe and gratitude, then, we allow this word to take hold of our consciousness and demonstrate by means of the universal law, which is the way that spirit works. And therefore, in our openness and our receptivity, it works for us by working through us. For this and so much more, we are deeply grateful, and so it is.
And so it is.
So, this morning, we dive a little bit deeper in what I did last week when I talked about new thought, and just gave a little bit more of a background. And it always surprises me that that's something that I need to do more often, because there are still people in our midst that don't know what new thought is about and where it comes from. And so we are moving into this theme from that place of new thought, which is really ancient wisdom. And when we think of new thought as ancient wisdom, and ancient wisdom as new thought, as we know it to be the science of mind teaching, it is always an exploration, a revelation, an understanding, a deeper knowing, a deeper understanding of what it really is, because it's called new thought because it's probably the newest spiritual teaching, spiritual practice, religion, if you want to call it that. And so we are finding this idea of being made new that we explored last week. Thinking about being made new, I use this idea of the S4 square. And I don't know if any of you remember it, but there was 4 things we were going to try and do differently. Who remembers what they were?
See.
To see things differently.
Serve.
To serve in a different way.
Speak.
To speak in a different new way.
Show up.
And to show up.
Yeah.
Yes, good job. You listened and paid attention. So we explore this idea of when we move through life, the way we practice new thought is we don't just go fall asleep and be hypnotized by what's happening in the world or our experiences, or be the walking dead, as some people call it. But we are conscious enough and present enough to say, how can I see what I'm experiencing, and how can I see the world and what's happening in the world in a new way? This requires us to look a little bit longer, right? To just pause and ask and think about. And then it allows us to speak differently. And I'm going to come back to that. And then we show up differently. Because if I see life in a different way, I'm going to show up differently. So if I choose to see that love is all there is, which is our basic principle of our teaching, I'm going to show up in the world less fearful and less anxious and less worried. So to show up differently is not just by our actions and our words, but it's an energetic thing, right? And then we serve differently, because the whole idea is we ask every day to spirit within us, what is mine to do? What is mine to be? And so the changes then, we know, must start within. That's the basic principle of the science of mind teaching, that consciousness creates our reality. Consciousness creates our experience. So we know this, right? We know that it all starts within our own thinking, our own being, our own seeing, our own speaking, our own showing up, our own service. We get lost when we think that it starts. Could somebody maybe go out in the hallway and ask for whispers? Thank you. So what we want to think about is that pause, that moment of what is now, who am I now, and what is wanting to be birthed, what is wanting to be made new in this very moment based on our beautiful teaching. And so what that leads to, when we know that the change starts within us, what that leads to is that higher knowing, that higher seeing, that higher vibration, that higher expression. So there's this wonderful little ditty that I have learned many, many, many years ago that I actually practice, that I don't know if I've ever shared that here. I'm going to share it today, which is this idea of saying, up until now, pause, from now on, pause, up until now, pause, from now on, pause. So how can we use that? Well, first of all, we catch ourselves, especially when we're having a challenge. So when we're vibrant and alive and happy and excited and blessed and spirited, we don't really need to ask those questions, because then we are just dwelling in gratitude, right? And so when we're dwelling in gratitude, we're just right? So it's when we're challenged, we want to be present and just notice. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's happening? What's my perception? What's my interpretation? What is it that I believe? So it requires a pause, that place of in between. Up until now, from now on, there's an in-between space. So what we do then is we say, well, up until now, I have judged myself or others. Up until now, I have believed that getting older means my body is going to fall apart. Up until now, right? The world is going to hell in a handbasket. Whatever it is that you're noticing your fears, your worries, your anxiety about, not to judge it, because that's tempting, right? Or judge ourselves, but just to notice it from a place of being the witness. Because even when we judge it, we're still in the old thought. We're still in the conditioning. We're still in the past. So we can then think or say, up until now, I have believed this limiting idea, this limiting thought, this judgment. So it allows us to be very present, and then we can say, from now on, which is where we make a new choice. So up until now, I've experienced lack. But from now on, I choose to shift my consciousness into the experience of greater abundance. Because you and I, we all know when people are speaking from their conditioning, right? When they're speaking from their past, when they're speaking from their fears, their worries, and their anxiety. You can tell, right? How can you tell?
By what they say.
By what they say.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. Yes, see? That's something to think about. That's that in-between place. Let me think about that. How does that feel? What is that? What does it say? What does it say about me? What does it say about others? So in that pause, we can say, you know what? What I really long for, what I really want, what I really desire is this. So in this case, if I've experienced lack or I worry about not having enough, I can say, I would love to experience abundance. I choose abundance. So up until now, I may have experienced lack, but from now on, I choose abundance. Why? Because it has to start within our own consciousness. It cannot happen from the outside in. The outside in can be an awareness and a reminder and a remembrance, but it must happen from within our own consciousness, because as within, so without. Yes, we say this, but do we really, really know it? Do we really, really believe it? Do we really, really practice it? So this idea of catching ourselves then, when we're experiencing something in a limited way or a limiting way, letting go of judgment, noticing what we notice, think or say, up until now, this was happening, but from now on, I choose a new thought. So are you ready to be made new? That's how we do it. We don't wait for the perfect partner, the perfect job, the perfect bank account. We start within our own consciousness. And so the idea is then to pause. And it's in the pausing that we can practice choosing a new way of seeing things, a new way of speaking, a new way of showing up, and a new way of serving. And that in-between place requires us to be patient, to be kind, to be forgiving, to be loving, to trust, and to surrender to this infinite power and this creative intelligence within us. I was listening to a talk, or actually a panel, from the recent spiritual convention, Centers for Spiritual Living, spiritual convention that was in Charleston, and I didn't go to that, but I watched most of the videos. And there's a woman named Gabrielle Claiborne, and I really loved what she said. She said there's knowing and there's being. It's kind of like up until now, from now on, there's a in-between space. And that in-between space is our becoming. And we're all already there. Each and every one of us is in a place of becoming. The question is, what am I becoming? Mm-hmm. And it's important to reflect there because we get to participate in that decision, in that choice. We must, because it happens from within, right? As within, so without. So the idea then is like, oh, up until now, this was my experience that I'm not so happy about, whatever it is. But from now on, I need to think in a different way. I need to think in a new way. I need to see myself and life in a new way. What is that new way? And when we choose that new way, that turns into our becoming, which is an evolutionary process. There's no ending. It's always a becoming based on the desire to raise our consciousness, to heighten our vibration, to remember our essential nature. And so I want to do a poll. And I can only do it with the people in the room. So the first thing I want to say about this poll, it's a poll in a shame-free zone. A judgment-free zone. Got that? Mm-hmm. If you end up feeling judged or shamed, just know it's yours. Because the intention has been set. I've done the work to create that space, right? So it's a judgment and a shame-free zone. How many of you, by show of hands, and the camera is pointed to me, not to you, so you're good, have taken a Science of Mind class or a workshop? Wow, everybody, that's awesome. How many of you have had a session with a licensed practitioner? Okay, fewer, right? As practitioner, a licensed practitioner, you're all practitioners, by the way, because you're all practicing this teaching. But you're not all licensed practitioners. A licensed practitioner is somebody who does spiritual support in a professional way. They're available to you. Right at the moment, Laurie and I are practitioners here today, and actually Laurie has offered to do the Treatment Express after celebration for those of you that are here. So take advantage of having her do a treatment. But it's different than having an actual session where you make an appointment and they work with you on raising your vibration, raising your consciousness in an area where you might be a little bit stuck or challenged. So my third question is, how many of you practice spiritual mind treatment, our version of prayer, affirmative prayer? Yes. So my goal, my personal desire is that each of you practice it all the time. Because it's our magic wand. In New Thought, spiritual mind treatment is our magic wand. It's like scientific prayer. It's more powerful than we'll ever understand or know. And so we can all do it already. It's just whatever is in the way is where we are up until now. Up until now, I didn't think I could do it. Up until now, I can't remember the steps. Up until now, all that stuff, right? It's just a limiting belief. And so the idea, and I love what Reverend Michelle used to say, just stop, drop, and treat. Stop, drop, and treat. If I would say to you, get up right now over here and do a spiritual mind treatment, how many of you could get up and come do that? Show of hands. 3. Yes. Awesome. That's another goal that I have, another longing, another desire, another vision that I have that I can call on any of you and you just come up and do a spiritual mind treatment. So I know that some of you are having butterflies because you're thinking, I hope she doesn't ask me to do that. And I remember the time when I was asked to do it and I freaked out. So I know that feeling, but because it's a judgment, shame-free zone, we can say, oh, up until now, I haven't felt as comfortable, but from now on, I want to learn how to do a spiritual mind treatment on the drop of a hat. I don't know where that saying comes from, drop of a hat. And so the idea is that we need to start saying, a spiritual mind treatment is easy to do. I can do it. I'm already using the principles. I will come back to that in a moment. But it is the core practice. It is the one practice that we use in New Thought, in our teaching, in the science of mind, as a healing tool. That's why we call it spiritual mind treatment. It's not a dental treatment. It's not a massage. It's not a Reiki treatment. It's not a medical treatment. It's a spiritual mind treatment. And it's important that we can all do it just like that, because it is our magic wand. It is the tool that we use to raise our vibration, to lift up our consciousness, to declare from now on. And so you're already using it, and as many of you know who've taken classes with me, is in a way you already use it. Like when anybody here shop on Amazon? Most of you. Any of you ever go to the post office? Most of you. That's already the energy behind the spiritual mind treatment. Because first you identify where you're going shopping. In our case, we identify in the moment what our belief is about this creative intelligence, or God, or spirit, whatever you call it. Call it something that makes your heart sing. It will really help you do a spiritual mind treatment. Because if you have a word you don't like, you're already blocked, right? And then when we go to the post office, we have to walk into the post office and open the door, right? We have to make a connection with the person behind the counter. Same with Amazon, we have to be online and we have to go to our account. Connect to that, which we call our higher self. And then we do what? What's the third step?
Realization.
Realization or?
Affirmation.
Affirmation. How many of you have done affirmations? Yeah, all of us in some way, shape, or form, even when we may not have realized we've been doing it. Affirmation is the center of a spiritual mind treatment. And a spiritual mind treatment is adding meat to the bones of affirmation, is adding substance to the affirmation, making it more real by realizing that that higher idea, that higher thought is not just our thought. It's the universal truth in us. And so we remember that's where it starts, with the universal truth. And then making the connection. And then after the affirmation is the gratitude or the acceptance. If I give you a gift, you say, oh no, thank you, you shouldn't have. If that's true, you're never going to have that gift in your hand. But if you say, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, then it's in my hands. So thanksgiving or acceptance is the next step to making this spiritual mind treatment a greater reality, part of our higher consciousness. And then we have to let it go, right? If you go to the post office, you got to walk back out once you have your stamps. If you shop on Amazon, there comes a moment where you have to pay and you click to get out of the website, right? It's the same. And we usually make that very simple by saying, and so it is. And so it is means amen. The word amen is so be it. It's done. Because you don't have to go to the Amazon warehouse to pick up your package, right? You don't have to say, you know, where did I put those stamps? Maybe you do, but oh, I forgot the stamps. You just have it in your hands. You just know it's done. You know it's complete, and you feel right? So, see, the principles behind the treatment are already known by each and every one of you. You just have a block why you don't do it at a drop of a hat or out loud in front of a group. So, we are all a work in progress, because the idea of healing is not fixing or changing, it's just remembering. Remembering your inherent wholeness. Remembering the truth of your very being. The word heal comes from the word whole. Wholeness is not necessarily purchased or just given to us, or it comes through the right person or place or food or whatever. It is a knowing deep within our very being, claiming it as the truth of our very being, and then universal law demonstrating our own belief, our own consciousness. That's how we raise our vibration in this teaching anyway. And so what's important for us to know is the reason that we do this work is not because we aren't spiritual enough, which we sometimes say or think, right? Or they're not very spiritual. He's not very spiritual. She's not very spiritual. I'm not very spiritual. No, the truth is you're already 100% spiritual. That's the truth. You just don't believe it yet. And you don't believe it most when you're having a challenge. And the challenge is exactly to remind you that you are already 100% spiritual, that you have available to you a consciousness that assists you in expressing that in your human nature. So the idea is not about becoming more spiritual, but becoming more human. And how that looks is our spirituality and our humanness are one and not separate. They are one, they are connected. What gets in the way is that we say, well, not here, not here, not there, not in him, not in her. And that's why it's so important for us to say, well, up until now, pause. Let me think about that for a moment. So from now on, this is what I want, long for, declare, accept, welcome. And now let me use my magic wand. Let me do the main spiritual practice that makes me the practitioner of this teaching until it demonstrates. Until it demonstrates, which may be never. But the moment we start treating, it begins to work on our consciousness. And we begin to experience the shift when we really pay attention. So I have a song for us. And the song is called One Step by Amy Steinberg. And I love this song because we forget that one step is enough. Sometimes we think we need to take 5,000 steps or 100 steps, and it gets overwhelming. But the invitation here is just one step. The one step from up until now, till from now on. Okay?
Old-time religion is a box I do
One step. One step up until now, from now on. And it starts with a pause. So I want us to all do a treatment out loud. You're going to each take turns and come up here. Anybody nauseous? No, I'm just joking. But we're going to do it together. And many of you may remember when we used to do a circular spiritual mind treatment where everybody treats at the same time out loud. It's very, very cool. And the thing is, nobody's listening to you. Even though you think people are listening to you and you hope they think you're really the best treater ever, right? Just notice those feelings, but you're just going to speak your own word from where you are in this moment. And so we're going to start with, and I'll walk you through it, our definition of the creative intelligence. Remember to use a word that makes your heart sing so you don't get stuck there and blocked. This means that you have to listen for a moment. So take a pause between each step and just notice, well, what is mine to say? And then we go into unification, affirmation, acceptance, thanksgiving, and the release, and so it is. Okay, so I'll walk you through it. So stand up, please. And when you're complete with the first step, just get quiet. So I'll wait till everybody's done. Okay? You can whisper. You can speak really loud, anywhere in between, but put your hand on your heart. And let's start with step one, your definition of God, Spirit, Universal Presence. Go. I know there is one presence, one light, one is all giving, all the earth, it is in me and around me, it's in everyone present all the time, and it is glorious. Take a breath. Step two, you are one with that. So describe your oneness with what you just defined. Go. I am one with this presence. It is in me, I see it, it is present in me, I am the light, all breath, heartbeat, is in all. Take a breath. And now speak an affirmation about becoming that higher vibration, becoming that higher consciousness. Take a moment to think about it. I am. Remember, it's affirmative, it's in the present moment, it's powerful, it's personal. And go. I am this higher way of being, this higher way of seeing, this higher way of speaking, this higher way of being, because God has me, and God I see, and I am so blessed. Pause, take a breath. And now accept, fully accept what you have just spoken. And let it be something that you are grateful for. So go. I am so grateful to know that I will And in order to accept what we have just spoken, we have to release this word. So you can say a few words around the letting go, and then we'll pause again and do the closing ourselves. So just release the word you have spoken to the universal law. Go. I release over to the universal law. In the spirit with you, do the work. It is done. And together. And so it is. Yes! So you just did a treatment out loud in a room with other people. So, in one or two words, what was that like?
Powerful.
Powerful.
Energizing.
Energizing.
Affirming.
Affirming.
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
Step one.
Step one. Yes. Do you notice a shift of energy in the room? Not everybody can feel that, that's okay, but those of us who can, there's a shift, right? Something happened. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that with me. That was fun.
Thank you.
So now is time for us to do our love offering, whether you're giving today or not, whatever form you're giving in. You can do this online. You know that we have the Venmo QR codes. We can go online. You can give using the envelope, whatever way you like to give. I personally do text to give, which I enjoy. It's kind of fun. And just so you know, we do have yoga on Zoom tonight, but you must request the link from Hannah. And it's on the flyer or it's in your email. And in 2 weeks from today, we have Kat doing our sound bath. So those of you that are in person, be sure to sign up on Breeze. Because once we have 17 people signed up, there will be a closing to the signing up because we won't have enough room for that. Okay? I think that was it. Yeah. Okay. If you're not giving today, know that you are, simply by holding your hand over it and bless the basket, because this is our way to continue to be right here in this town, in this space, and being centers for spiritual living. So take a moment to take a breath, close your eyes, and maybe even go, up until now, this is what I believed about giving, and then shift it to something more abundant from now on. Okay, so let's do an affirmation. Up until now, I may have believed I don't have enough, or that I am not enough, or that I don't do enough. I take a breath, and I now say, from now on, I accept my greater good. I bless my abundance. I am a generous giver. And I trust the law to provide me with whatever it is that I need. I accept myself as a being of abundance. And so it is. So Laurie is here today. She will do the Treatment Express. Would you like to do a closing treatment?
I'm sure.
I would love for you to do that. So come on up, Laurie.
I never say no to treatment.
She's going to do it, our closing treatment, and then we'll have another song.
Just say yes to treatment.
She always says yes.
Yes, I always say yes. So, from that power of everyone having done a treatment, I invite you to hear these words as if they were your own. And so right here, right now, in this lovely community of which we are blessed to be a part, I know that each one feels that deep connection with Spirit, Source, God, nature, universal energy, whatever you call it, that we are in divine flow. We are one with this power and presence that just wishes to express itself in, as, and through our very lives. And so we show up today, I show up today, with gratitude and grace, trying to find my way to make that step from what I used to believe to what from now on I believe. And so I know that each one has taken time to sit in that pause and to go forth uplifted, supported, and enriched by what we've learned here today, by what we've shared here today, by how empowered we have become by speaking our word, and by trusting in the spiritual mind treatment, the power that we have to use what it is doing for us and to choose it, to make a new choice. And so with deep gratitude and awe for the power of the word, for the power of this community that is love in action, and that goes forth today to create a world that works for everyone, I release this word joyfully, gratefully, and expectantly, because I know it is already done in the law. And so I let it go. I let it be. And I invite you to join me in saying,
And so it is.
that you get there.